Hey everyone, RogueGold here, and today we've got some very exciting story developments to cover and talk about in the Division 2. I want to let you know right off the bat that this entire video is going to contain spoilers for Year 5 Season 2's third target, Jack Arnold, because after clearing the objectives and rescuing her, there are some very interesting new details to go over. And so, if you have not done the content yet or checked out the comms that come with it and you care about spoilers, then be warned that this entire video is going to go over all of that. So if you have not yet completed the content or looked at the comms and that's something that you want to experience for yourself, I recommend doing so before watching this video. Now, ever since last season when they switched the sub-targets of the seasonal manhunts to be these rescues instead of the enemy hunts, their significance seemed to decrease a little bit, at least as far as the main plot is concerned. You know, frequently we're getting a lot of backstory on these characters, which can be interesting and play into other components of the story, but overall they have seemed a lot less pivotal towards the main narrative and plot. So, heading into this week with the unlock of Jack Arnold, I expected more of the same, right? And I figured we might start to get some more interesting bits with Vikram Malik, which is the final target in a few weeks. But far from it. This new section of the Manhunt and the comms that we have gotten from it have provided some big new details, hints, and context to some big questions and overall themes that we've had in the Division for a while. So, in this video I want to go through all of the new information and break it all down. And if you enjoy coverage like this and everything else on the Division 2, then be sure to click that subscribe button because I got a lot more coming. And let's go. So, the majority of these comms are super interesting. The basic premise is that Jack ends up being a specialist kind of on the mobile shade server, which is something that throughout season 2 they've been saying has been having these technical issues. And so because of that and her investigation into it, we start to get these communications from past and from other characters and scenarios, and that's really where this gets interesting. So out of the 5 comms, I think 4 of these are very relevant. I'm going to play each one and then give my thoughts on it. The first one here is a bit of a flashback to how Jack was actually part of the squad that got captured at Kenley College when we first visited that location. So here's the debrief between her and Manny.
I don't know why they followed us.
Mel said you took a mobile shade server.
Yeah, so we can stay in contact with your agents. It's how I send the distress call. But I think we were out of range.
The network went down. We had to get it back up and running before we got the call.
Shit. What did I miss?
Too much. I can let Mel fill you in later.
What happened to the agent who sent us to Kenley?
Agent?
Yeah. He was supposed to meet us there, but he never showed. He told us to bring the server.
Do you remember his name?
John? Tom? Richardson? Honestly, I don't remember. It was a pretty generic white boy name.
No worries. We can check the logs.
Are we done here?
Yeah.
Can I go see Mel now?
I asked them to meet us here.
Thank you. Anything else I should know about? Other than the network going down?
Oh, not much. Agents recovered President Ellis. The hyenas had him. He tried to stage a military coup. He's with the Black Tusk. It's complicated.
Alright, so the key piece of info there, if you didn't pick up on it or guess who Jack was referencing, it's Agent Johnson. I mean, that's not confirmed, but I would say that's at least 99.9% likely. You can tell what they're hinting at. And that is very interesting. Johnson apparently lured them out there to Kenley College with the mobile shade server in hand. The question is why? Why didn't he show up? Was it the plan for the outcast to ambush them? All of that is unknown at this point, but it absolutely does add a wrinkle to the entire Johnson story here about why he showed back up, what his motivations are, who his connections are with. It absolutely makes him more suspicious. Alright, the next one here is one of those transmissions that Jack is able to hijack from previous conversations that have happened. This one is between Natalia and Calvin. Here you go.
Another recording?
Yeah, we've got a name on the mystery woman.
Great. Let's hear it.
Natalia Sokolova. As I live and breathe.
Cal, is it wrong that I expected you to die in the first wave?
Not at all, Nat. Most of my colleagues and those bureaucrats did. You'd think being at ground zero would have been a death sentence. Turns out I had the infrastructure in place to weather the storm.
Well, I'm glad to see you're thriving given the conditions.
You're not doing too bad yourself, Nat.
I'm not.
How's our boy?
Officially installed as president since Mendez was taken care of.
Good. Good.
And now presumed dead since Air Force One crashed and we never recovered his body.
Presumed dead or confirmed dead?
Presumed. I've got him squirreled away until he's ready to play ball. He forgot his place in this organization and started to make some decisions on his own.
Can't have the puppets doing the puppeteering.
Exactly.
So there's nothing too specifically revelatory in here, but it does kind of give us what is seemingly this first interaction between Natalia and Cal after the outbreak, after the world fell apart. And it does begin to fill some of the gaps between the time period of the Descent comms, which is way before the Division 1 and Season 9 of the Division 2, where we first were introduced to Calvin. So that begins to answer at least a few of my own personal questions about Cal's role and his current whereabouts. I'm sure we'll likely get more as the seasons and story goes on, but figured it was interesting enough to include here. Next up, very pertinent to the current story of this season, Natalia meets the recruiter. Here you go.
It's been a while.
Yeah, sorry about that. Been busy setting up the farm and the food storage. We haven't done a sync on the server in a while.
What did you find?
Nat, I'd like you to meet the recruiter.
The recruiter?
For my hunter's replacement. He's going to be responsible for Bonnie's test. Make sure he's as good as you say he is, and ready to join our little organization.
Right. Nice to meet you, Mr. Recruiter.
Hunters have been instructed not to speak. You never know who's listening and what kind of voice recognition software they have running.
You're paranoid, Cal.
Rather be paranoid than wrong.
Well, you've made it this far without being discovered, so maybe there is something to your methods, Cal.
That's quite the compliment coming from you, Nat. You get this man to a Faraday cage, and you can get to know him better. Until then, please inform your Black Tusk to only address my agent as the recruiter.
Alright, now this one was pretty huge. I think there are two main big revelations to take away from this. Firstly, according to this entire interaction and the way they're speaking, the recruiter is a male. That has been a big question for people who are trying to debate whether or not it would be a male or a female. I'm sure for some people hearing that it is supposedly a male are going to think, oh, it's Johnson. I don't know. Is that too obvious? Maybe. But otherwise, I don't know who the next most obvious candidate would be. But of course, I'm sure we're going to get more clues moving forward. The second piece here that's kind of cool, it's because it's a question that we've had for a long time, is why don't the hunters speak? And Cal says in this comm that he's paranoid about recording devices, that you never know where there's going to be someone listening, and as soon as one of the hunters gets compromised, that's going to spell trouble for his entire operation. So honestly, that is a pretty smart reasoning on his part for why they don't speak, and it has, served him well up until now because we still don't know any of their true identities. So very cool and pivotal comm there. Again, I'm sure that's going to come into play once we get to the prime mission where we're actually fighting the recruiter directly, but very cool. Alright, and then last up, we get the final debrief with Jack after she is rescued from this manhunt, and we begin to get some payoffs from the ending of last season, so take a listen.
What's wrong with the server?
You should really go find Mel. They're worried sick about you.
I will, as soon as you tell me what the hell is going on with the server.
It's having trouble connecting to the network. Range is spotty, like something is interfering with it, maybe overloading it.
Since when? Since the attack?
No, since we got Murray back.
Who's working on it?
Cindy and Wally. Brian said he'd take a look, but I honestly don't know how much help he can be.
We fixed it. The server was stable. There was nothing wrong with it. Are you sure it started acting up after Mari came back?
It was fine that night, and then in the morning it started acting up.
Anything else strange happen?
Nothing really. Agent Johnson came back, but he's been trying to help us fix it. Maybe it was damaged in the attack and we just didn't notice.
So, this seems pretty damning. The big mystery from the end of Year 5 Season 1 was, of course, who the asset is. That was a whole thing where after we rescued Mari and she got back to the castle, we saw this cutscene where Natalia is looking through this drone feed and she is told that the asset is in place. So that started the whole mystery of who or what is the asset. And I would say this comm suggests or points us to the idea that Mari is indeed the asset, or she's at least playing a part in it. I still don't get the sense that she is directly sneaking around and, sabotaging them or messing with the mobile shade server. It definitely seems like she would get caught within the confinements of the castle, or that they would be able to fix whatever damage she is doing. But if it is as this comm suggests, and these technical issues only began the moment she returned, that does begin to give me a bit of a nervous feeling. We know that the Black Tusk offered her some medical guidance and assistance with the ongoing pregnancy during her time in captivity with them at the zoo. So it is kind of a sickening thought, but it does make me worry that they would have somehow made her the asset indirectly, right? Somehow her presence is jamming the server. I don't want to get too detailed into that, as there are many, kind of darker ways you could take that, and there's no confirmation that that's actually what is happening. But it does still leave the question of how is Mari's presence affecting the mobile shade server. It leaves the question of why the Black Tusk would want to jam it in the first place. Do they have a plan to exploit it, capture it, or put another attack in place, maybe this time on the castle? I assume we'll find out before too long. My friends, those are the latest comms for the Division 2. Like I said, way more than I was expecting for this third target. I kind of wish they all had significance like this. This was a big treat, and it would really make the overall climb to the Prime mission more exciting, because that is typically what people are most looking forward to, because it gives us the biggest payoffs, the biggest gameplay moments. But yeah, overall, I was very pleased with this entry to the Manhunt, and I would love to hear your thoughts on it. What do you think about the new revelations with Johnson, the Recruiter, Mari? All of it, leave it down below. Can't wait to read through it. After this, it is onwards to Vikram Malik and the Recruiter. We have less than 4 weeks until the finale, and I have a feeling it's going to be quite epic. Can't wait to get there, but for now, we have this exciting new chapter to speculate on until then, and speculate we shall. That is going to do it for me today, everybody. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. RogueGold. Ow.